Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Grouchy Anime Club. Today, we are going to be talking about The Big O. It's an anime that released back in 1999, and I definitely did not just look that up. How's everyone doing today? Alex, this was your pick, so why don't you go first? Tell everyone how you're doing. How's your month?
Doing good. A lot of nostalgia. Power through this one pretty quick. I've seen most of the episodes, but of course not in order. But watching in order, I don't think really helped me either.
Yeah, this was an interesting ride. I'll put it there. Josh, how are you doing this week?
Doing pretty well.
You had a good month off?
Yeah. Ended up powering through the show in the last couple weeks. So,
Yep.
Still pretty fresh in the mind.
Yep. I finished watching it this morning, so I totally there with you. I meant to watch it on the ride home, and then the last day, Dad was like, yeah, I don't want to drive. And I'm like, okay, great. I'll just drive the whole way then. Thanks.
Oh,
Chase, how's it going? How's your time off?
Good. This anime was easily in the top 3.
Yeah, top 3. Yeah, that's a good one. That's, I can also say it's
Numerically
probably about
correct.
my top 3. Yeah. And now,
Top 3 so far.
Garrett,
Probably not going to be top 3 after next month.
really? You don't think so?
Chase coming in with the dad jokes.
Where now,
Yeah.
Chase? I'm gonna put you on the spot here. Where does this rank out of the 3 animes that we have watched so far? If you had to put them in order, what are your hot
Probably
takes
the
right
worst
now?
Probably the worst one. I like the first episode we did. Was a big fan of that one.
Okay.
And then Monster, and then this one.
Really? And you did watch Monster, right?
I did. I did.
Okay.
Critically
All right.
acclaimed.
I'm just making sure. It's a weird ranking for me, but I would have maybe ranked it differently. But Garrett, I saved you for last because the very first episode, I decided I'm going to have everybody tell the audience about their anime history. Episode 2, we had a new member join us. That was you, the Italian Stallion, Garrett. And I didn't ask you. So what's your anime history?
I watched it pretty much all throughout high school.
Okay.
Very standard high school anime origin. Limited friends, lots of time. It was easy and quick to find, and Toonami was awesome.
So that's where you started Toonami. What was like the first anime you watched? Dragon Ball?
Oh,
Z?
Dragon Ball Z.
Okay.
Dragon Ball Z, I watched it with my older brother.
What arc did you join in on?
The one I remember the most... Well, I actually started at the beginning. The one I remember the most clearly is the Cell Saga, but I think that's just because I liked it. But I do remember the Frieza Saga pretty vividly.
Yeah. See, for me, it was at daycare, and when the younger kids would go to bed, we could go into the other bedroom and watch TV. And for some reason, we'd watch the Frieza Saga, but I swear it was out of order. So I had no idea what was going on. And then later on, I joined in on the Boo Saga, and that's where I really got hooked. But yeah,
I did that, like Inuyasha. I don't like that one either, but yeah, that's a long one. That one's a
You don't like Inuyasha?
Man, it's like 45 minutes in a 23-minute episode of just screaming names. Like, it's just like, Kagome! I don't remember, and it's like Moroku, I think was another one. It's just like 35 minutes of that. And then you get the movie, and it's an hour and 35 minutes of that, just tossing a wind scar and a Tetsaiga here and there, and you got a show. I mean, there's a lot more to it, but...
that's one I remember because of Alex and Brandon, but I've never watched it myself. And I feel like I should right that wrong someday.
It's a starting for sure.
Yeah, it's something for like younger people to get into it and they'll like it. It's not like he said, it's not super deep.
No.
Oh yeah.
In my mind's eye, if I'm looking back through my mind's eye, I picture me, you, and Brandon at Grandpa's house, sitting on that pull-out bed, watching Inuyasha. I don't know when we would have done that, but that's how I remember it.
Yeah, that probably happened.
Yeah.
It's funny though that you mentioned Inuyasha. because I lived in Brainerd for a summer doing construction work, and I went to the library like once or twice. And when I was walking through one time, there was a separate room, and they had an anime club where they would review anime. And the one time I walked by, I overheard them like talking about Inuyasha, and I thought it was just the funniest thing ever. Because they were having like literary discussions, like what were the themes of the show? What did you think?
Exactly like
part
what
of me
we
that
do,
might
right?
maybe makes me a little bitter about it is that it converted so many like high school people to insufferable anime viewers. Like it became their whole personality.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it hit my particular school demographic hard, but I'm telling you, they were some of the cringiest human beings like alive. When I say they played it on the playground, it was like full scale battles. Like they'd run around, interrupt people's games, sword fighting with like sticks.
Wow.
So
Yeah, it was a lot.
somebody break this down for me. Inuyasha, what type of anime is that? Is that like Naruto?
No.
Or how would you
like,
explain it to somebody that hasn't seen the show before? I had like a
Girl
brief.
falls down magic well, ends up in feudal age, gets a dog human companion.
Yeah.
Tries to go
is
back.
It technically be an isekai?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
It's still Earth, but she's going to a magical version in the past. And so this girl falls into this well, and she goes to feudal Japan, where magic still exists. And they have to collect the shards. And then she meets half demon, half human Inuyasha, and they work together to collect the shards.
Interesting. That actually sounds kind of good.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Okay, all right, fine. Maybe it's a way to bring this full circle. What we can do is the very last episode of the show, we'll do Inuyasha.
Oh,
So we
man,
bring
it's
it all
making
the way
me feel
around.
all that.
Yeah,
There we go.
that's how we'll end this show. You heard
I'm
it
gonna
here.
write you a 4-page paper on why I dislike that idea, and I'm gonna make you read it on the podcast because that's gonna drive me insane.
That's
Because
awesome.
it's gonna be like day 2, and I'm just gonna start calling you like freaking, I don't know, Kagome at work or something.
Go,
Boys, shit.
This show is brought to you by Patreon.com. You should definitely go check that out. Patreon.com/GrouchyGuys94. Go check it out. I think right now I just set the limit to $5 a month. But what that does is you could subscribe at $5 a month, and you could pick the anime we cover for the following month. So that's
that'd be
there.
great.
If you're not interested, you could listen to our beautiful voices for free of charge right here on YouTube.com. Yeah, so Garrett, you won the role to pick our anime for next month. What are we watching?
Oh man, I just thought of another good one. But I think it's time to bring in some Gurren Lagann. Let's get a good mech anime in here.
Okay. You said
It's between that and Samurai Champloo because that's also awesome.
Okay, all right. So you're saying a good mech anime here. So I guess that I'll bring in our new segment. We're all going to rate this anime. So 1 of 3 stars, or however many stars out of 3, what would you give this big O? Wait, yeah, go ahead. What would you rate it?
Talking to me?
Yeah,
Start?
yeah, you can start it.
Oh!
You're the one coming out here with the hot takes.
I'm gonna say,
Oh,
and he's gone. You should also have the intro to the segment be a really shitty version on a recorder. I would pay money to do that because that would be hilarious. But I'm gonna give it a solid 1.5.
1.5.
Would not do it again.
While Josh loads in here, Chase, what would you give the big O?
A solid 1 out of
Okay.
3 stars.
Okay. Wow. 1 out of 3
Great.
stars.
Would you do it again?
I'd rather go to the dentist.
So that is a would not. I would like to say that's 2 would nots on the board.
Okay. Josh, you missed it. Garrett came in with a 1.5. Chase gave it a 3 out of 3. What would you give the big O?
I would give it a solid 2.
Okay.
Maybe just a little tick above that, just because I'm a huge sucker for any film noir type of stuff.
Oh, let me
I
guess.
also
He's
have a
gonna
lot of
be
nostalgia for Big O, but the plot is kind of hard to figure out.
Yeah.
Would you do it again?
it's just kind of hard to figure out what's going on most of the time. So
Did he take the blue,
I do
blue
enjoy
pill
watching
or the
it,
red pill at
but
the end?
I'm
gotta
gonna
know
jump
the
in
most
next
important.
year. I'll save the last one for Alex since he picked this.
Hold on, there's the board that we have to address here. Would you or would you not again?
I mean, I would watch it again, but it might be low on the list.
Okay.
I'm gonna put that as a maybe and undecided. So it still 2-0. So go
Okay.
ahead.
All right. I would also give this a
on it.
2-star rating.
All right, copycat. Would you do it again?
I don't know. Now I did. It took me so long. It took me so long to watch this anime because I kept rewatching episodes because I delayed it because of Chase. Thank you very much, Chase. So then I was rushing, and I'm trying to rush and watch this, and I broke my golden rule, and I was watching this in my bed, and I would fall asleep every time. So then it's like I don't know where I left off. I got to go back. I'm just gonna rewatch 2 episodes from the night before, and then I started to get confused as the mysteries started to go on. So I maybe would watch it again.
I think
With
I
a
don't think
fresh,
you can put a would.
maybe.
It's either you would or you wouldn't.
Ooh.
Do or do not. There is no trick.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna say after this first watch through, I'm very confused. I would say no. Maybe after we talk, maybe that turns into a yes. But right now it's a no. 2 stars.
Answer's locked in. You can't
Okay.
pull back from this one. That's majority.
Alex, what do you got for the rating?
I'd also give it a 2 out of 3 stars. I would watch it again because I did pick to watch it again.
Okay.
Because nostalgia is a very powerful drug.
Now,
And I watched this when I was really younger. Was a lot younger.
since
but
you picked
here's
this,
the
break this down for everybody. What is this show about? What's like the synopsis of the Big O? What would you sell people on?
This show is not just a noir. It's not just a mech. It is also a spy thriller. It is James Bond meets Batman meets Gundam Wing, and it takes place in this futuristic city where everyone cannot remember the events of 40 years ago, and these monsters keep plaguing this world, and there's only one man that can stand up and save everyone, and that's Roger Smith.
Yeah.
His hair pissed me off. I'm sorry. It had like a weird bird quality to it, and it annoyed the ever-loving piss out of me. That was like the first thing I thought. I was like, oh, fuck this dude. Also, a negotiator, like that's his title, and all he does is go in there and just talk to people, and sometimes he has to use a gun for non-lethal means. Like, how do I get that job? It's like if it's like Batman or Bruce Wayne had a loving, supporting family, and then just went into mechs. Like that's just like the transition. That's like the next thing for him.
I guess we'll use that to kind of jump off. What is up with the naming in this show? Like the negotiator, him being a negotiator. In my mind, I kind of started to think of that as like a translation error or something, or just like it doesn't make sense to me. What's the deal with that?
Well, he was a middleman. He would,
People got
so
problems.
whenever it could be a negotiation or it could be a translation issue, like you said, but he was the middleman for everything. Like whenever a deal needed to be struck, people would come to him, and he would negotiate the terms of the deal.
I think my favorite deal he had to negotiate was in the fish village. Where he had to go negotiate with the villagers why they're not making fish, like, because there's a fucking monster out there killing everybody. No one will stop it. Like, we don't know what to do. He's like, oh, okay. And then he goes and fixes it. No one's like, who drives the Big O? I don't know.
Well,
I do have to say though, is like as the show went on, he was doing less and less negotiating and more just investigating. So
Yeah.
he should have been the investigator.
yeah, like or the detective or the mech pilot or
Judge,
the
jury, and
vigilante.
executioner. There's the one where he's like, it's just a sad, lonely monster running around without anything. And then all of a sudden, I got to kill it.
What do you think his name should have been?
I don't know, man. It was a lot of weird. I really don't know. It's like The Matrix. Like, this is whole production. This is a movie show, and Angel's the director. And then she's like, and the negotiator's like, do we want to go blue pill or red pill? And he's like, I don't know, dealer's choice. Let's lose all the memories. It was, I don't know.
He's
It was
like,
just weird.
take the Ambien.
I also think I had a weird experience. Maybe if I would have seen, I just kept getting frustrated because there was this big episode 12.
Yeah.
I couldn't see it. I literally could not find it. And so I messaged everyone in the group chat like, hey, I can't find this episode. Dude, I'm just going to move on because I need to finish this. And it was the Big O versus Big Duo, I think, and Schwartzwald. Yeah. And literally just missed that. And they alluded to it. They're like, man, I remember Big Duo and the big fight with Schwartzwald. Yeah. And I'm like, what is that? Like, I haven't even seen it. And so I just missed it and had to go back. I watched episode 12 after episode 26. Yeah. And I was like, I need to see this, what I missed. And it wasn't even that great.
No.
I don't know why they talked about it so much for the next 12 episodes.
So that's something that I think was a little confusing watching the show. And they refer to a lot of things as megadeuces, right? Am I just crazy? Like, it's not just those three mechs? And that was the first time he encountered something like Big O. That's you need a Dominus and a Megadeuce, right?
All of them are Megadeuces. A Megadeuce is just that giant robot, but they would all have different names. So the one that Roger Smith piloted was a Megadeuce named Big O.
Right.
So all of them were Megadeuces. So like, oh, he's a pilot of a Megadeuce kind of thing. So they were all Megadeuces, but they all also had their own names. So like
those three, right? Like the weird Hydra monster is not a Megadeuce. Or like the big zombie robot underneath, like whatever that thing was. That was not technically a Megadeuce, right? Like I thought the Megadeuces were the Big O, Big Duo, and then what's the last one? It starts with an F. Big.
Foul? Is it foul?
Yeah.
Big Foul.
Yeah. I thought those were the three, and everything else was like it might just be a robot or some kind of monster or.
Well, the ones that the blonde guy, whose name I can't remember, made, those weren't Megadeuces. Those were just like cheap robots he built.
Yeah.
But like those big ones with like the weird arms, those are all Megadeuces. And there were, I mean, you have to look at the lore of the movie or the show and stuff. But like apparently there used to be like armies of them, especially when you see his like the flashbacks where you kind of see the memories.
Yeah.
And, like he'd have dreams, and it'd be like there'd be hundreds of them. So I don't know. Apparently the world ended. Maybe there's a purgatory. Maybe it's not. Who knows?
Yeah, that we're gonna get into all that here because I am thoroughly lost after watching this show here. What do you think, Josh? What were your thoughts on the different titles and Megadeuce and Dominus, and did you look up what that means?
Yeah, it's like Big O, Dominus, like those were the names. I kind of agree with Jaeger or Alex with I think Megadeuce is kind of, I noticed they didn't use the term so much when there were like kaiju like creatures around, but whenever there was a fighting robot on the scene, specifically with those arms, you'd hear the term Megadeuce thrown around quite a bit.
Yeah.
As far as Roger goes, I mean, Negotiator really fits because that was what he was doing a lot of the time in the beginning. But his role really...
Oh, so we lost you there. So you were saying you agree with Jaeger about the Negotiator, Roger Smith.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, as far as the Megadeuces go, the term seems to revolve around the larger mechs. I'm not really sure about the kaiju situations because there were definitely some more organic things showing up.
And they definitely did refer to them as Megaduces, but I don't think that's correct. Like, I think in the mythology of this show, the Megaduces are those certain robots that can only be piloted by certain people.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I wasn't.
Because they did call what I think are not Megaduces Megaduce. They, like, I'll have to go back and watch it. See, that's what I'm saying. I can't be locked in and not watching it again.
Yeah.
Well, Garrett's
go ahead.
a great guy, so maybe there's anything that's giant is, I guess. But I think that maybe you're misremembering or mishearing. I'm pretty sure they only refer to the giant robots as Megaduces.
Yeah,
and I think they only say like, "Oh, a Megaduce is here," is when like if they're fighting like the monster, and then Roger shows up with Big O, and they're like, "Oh, great! Now a Megaduce is here."
This will be a perfect thing for our audience of millions of fans to leave comments down below. Let me know. Am I crazy? Am I misremembering it? Or do they only refer to those 3 mechs as the Megaduces? I'd be interested to see.
Or if it's anything that's large, would Alex count as a Megaduce?
He would be Dominus, for sure.
I don't know.
He would be a Dominus of the Megaduce, yeah.
He's too tall. You need to be under 7 foot to fit in a Megaduce.
Did you guys know... I started watching this, and right off the bat, I could not get it out of my brain that this guy looked like Bruce Wayne. Every episode, like, especially at the beginning, I could not let go of that. And then as I started to research, and you see that this was made by the same people that helped with Batman the Animated Series, I couldn't let it go. What did you guys... Did you see that too as we were watching these episodes? Did you see Bruce Wayne in there and sprinkles of Batman?
I definitely saw a lot of Bruce Wayne in that, even down to the car he drives.
Yeah.
Looks a lot like specific Batmobiles.
He's got a butler. He lives in a mansion. There's a cave that he goes into.
Yeah.
Like, it's so many. Yeah. He's got a sidekick.
They only wear black.
What?
It's not my style to carry guns.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. I don't see. I did love his car, Griffin, I think it's called. It made me want to buy like an old Cadillac with an all red interior or something. I don't know what about the car. I was just like, that's a sick looking car. You know what? No, just me.
No, the car was cool. I just always thought it
I mean,
was
it was okay.
hilarious that he keeps the Big O under the city and just keeps popping out of the city like it's Swiss cheese. And like, kind of get it at the end of that nobody cares, but it's just like destroys it. And then he's like, "Oh, time to go." And then he's just gone.
That's another thing I was talking about with Lindsay. Like towards the end, like every episode, I guess there's multiple domes, but every episode he pops out of the ground. He like fucks up the city.
Yeah.
And then the next episode, the city seems fine. He walks through it like there's no damage. And like, so did the battle not happen? Did they fix it, or did it like take place far away or something? But like, that's one thing that was kind of like towards the end where I'm like, oh, okay, you guys are doing way more damage than normal.
Yeah.
Not to mention this, like to my knowledge, at least what I thought is it's like this city that they live in with all the domes is built on ruins of another city, like skyscrapers, and it's like the world is flooded, and so every other than the last episodes, they're like, but the last 5, they're like, oh, he's gonna sink me. Like that was the big thing. Like if they just throw the Megaduce off, it'll kill him. And it's like, man, I don't know. I feel you should put some modifications. And then they both end up in the water, and he like the other guy has jets that he propels through. I was like, man, that guy's way better.
Yeah.
He doesn't sink. He can swim. It's just
Yeah, but Big O uses his hammer arms to get himself out.
yeah. Just let me like launch up. It's weird. It's like, man, they are high in the sky if they're built on skyscrapers, because that's what the corner of the buildings were. At the end of the street where the wharf, it was like they were on skyscrapers.
Yeah, it's a weird structure. I mean, at first I was hoping they didn't end every episode with a giant kaiju fight or big robot mech fight, but you know, they do that every single episode and they destroy so much. It's kind of like it works so well with Batman where you can have a character introduced every single episode, you can fight him every episode, and the city's not destroyed. When you're a giant robot destroying buildings and major damage every single episode, it kind of like breaks the whole plot for me, where I'm like, I just can't.
Well,
I don't
not
believe
to
it.
mention, where is he getting all these rockets and these chains? He has, like, how many has he shot off? Like, he's like, sorry, I didn't reload one time. The butler
That's
said that
because-
one time.
Yeah, his homie, the butler, is just grinding all day and night building this robot.
Which,
But like,
Yeah, I'm
it-
always imagining the pace at which he's working behind the
Yeah.
scenes, just hammering away and just, yeah.
he's kind of a badass, so he keeps the
way
whole
he
ship
can't
going.
go out without his robot.
I will
Would you
say, one part I did like is during a big Megaduce fight, Roger's like, hey, can you go pick up the present? And he's like, puts on his glass and like bikes through the fight and gets the present.
Yeah.
I did like that. That was one part I did like. I was like, okay, I enjoy this Butler. Butler was probably
Yeah.
the best part of the whole show. I'd watch just a short of all the Butler scenes.
Yeah,
It's pretty funny.
you know, it's kind of funny. I don't know if you guys have favorite characters or not for this anime, because it's kind of like focused on a few different guys. But to me, this is almost like a reversal, where I didn't like Roger Smith nearly as much as any of the other characters. You know, like he's fine, he's cool, but very generic. You know, cool, whatever. Always wears black, stay classy, whatever. He's got a lot of couth, that's fine. But like, yeah, the Butler, way more cool. I really like Dorothy. I thought she was actually kind of interesting.
I also like Dorothy. I thought Dorothy or just Big O in general was probably my favorite character. You know, like when you're walking around with hammer arms, everything looks like a nail to you.
Yeah.
So. I have to say, like, one of my, like, probably favorite character is Big O, even though he doesn't have any lines or anything. But like when he like grabs someone,
Yeah.
or like when he punches someone and like that rod comes slamming down his arm and then they just explode, I was like, that's great. There's like just pure serotonin just courses through me when I see that. I just love it.
Yeah, it really doesn't get much better than that. That's like really awesome. What a cool idea for a character. Have these giant like hammer arms in your fists. What about you, Chase? Do you have a favorite character? Anyone that comes to mind?
The Butler.
The Butler? Okay.
Yeah, Butler's pretty good.
What about you, Garrett?
Austin. The guy's a cop fighting against giant robots, and halfway through he's like, "God, just fuck it. Let's just have Big O do it." But I ain't gonna try to stop it. It's like
The Black Megaduce.
he's like, "Just get out of the way. The Black Megaduce will take care of it." And he's like, "Yeah, all right. Maybe shoot the other ones now. I don't know. Hey, nothing works." They just kind of stare at us.
Yeah, I did like how the army general was constantly like, what are we supposed to do? This doesn't even make any sense.
Like-
how are we supposed to protect the city against that? These things
Why
keep
don't we
appearing.
have one?
Yeah.
We don't have anything that can take this down. Like nobody designed like a tripwire or anything to trip it to do something. Because apparently we're built on Swiss cheese, so like you can just slide all the way down. Apparently the under levels of this place are haunted by a spooky robot ghost.
Which that guy was so cool. That was my favorite. If we're going only off of design, like I would say maybe that, or the weird three-headed Hydra monster was maybe my favorite. Like those two were so cool. What about you, Josh?
Which one?
Anyone come to mind for you?
I was just gonna slide in there that what I really liked about the captain of the military police is he's just a surprisingly self-aware character. He's just like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, sorry, but like he's just always like, what is going on? Oh my god, Big O is back. We're gonna have to fix that. What are we doing here anyway?
He's like, why did
um,
I come here?
Yeah. Well, then he has that whole like, kind of monologue later in the show where he's just like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
But I think overall, one of my favorite characters I keep coming back to is well, for villains it'd be Schwarzwald, just because he kind of injects a little bit of insanity into this kind of structured kind of noir tale. But then the butler, Norman, or I think his name's Norman, just a little bit of a straight-laced guy, very buttoned up all the time, and then until he puts on like his aviator cap and just takes off to go like save the day or to like do something out of left field.
Yeah, in the last, I think it was like the second to last episode when he's got the rocket launcher and he's fighting back the robots and Dorothy throws him the extra bullets. I'm like, that's a cool guy. I like this dude.
Yeah.
So
I guess for me, it was those characters that kind of injected a little bit of something refreshing into that in a noir setting.
let's see here. Does anyone?
Question for you guys.
Sure.
So it seemed like everyone knew that Roger Smith operated the Big O, but it also seemed like no one knew that Roger Smith operated the Big O. So like, because I know that the mayor knew, or it seemed like the mayor knew some episodes and either didn't care, or he thinks he knew. He thinks he knew because it seemed like he always teased them about his own negatives that he's trying to operate. He's just like, well, power is important and it's what should be in the hands of important people and stuff like that. And like the general kept coming to Roger Smith for like negotiating stuff and like complaining about. But like, so did people know that Roger operated the Big O, or did they not?
I kind of feel like there were several characters that kind of knew, but they knew independently and weren't quite sure if other people knew.
Yeah.
Dawson figures it out at some point, because I swear he like talks to Roger about it in one of the episodes. Unrelated note: the chains that we were talking about are called Moby Dick anchors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the name. I just wanted to put that out there. Just let the universe know that.
The names in this show are so weird. I don't know whatever their inspirations were for all this stuff. That's fine, but it's weird. I'm just gonna say they could have used maybe a little more localizing.
Granted, his punch move that we were talking about, that's pretty cool. It's called Sudden Impact, and that's not bad.
Yeah,
that's not bad. There's O Thunder, which is interesting. That's the one where he uses the multiple firearms, cannons in his forearms.
Yeah, those are good.
Yeah, there's like the weirdest names. Arcline? Yeah. Laser beams out of the eyes. Yep, that's what that one is. Not laser eyes or something fun.
What was everyone's favorite attack?
Sorry, you cut out there, Alex. Say that again.
What was everyone's favorite attack?
Ooh,
absolutely the Moby Dick anchors.
Yeah, I like when they did the four anchors into the ground and then lasered. That was pretty awesome. I was like, oh, I didn't know that was an option.
Although the
why did we do that more often?
Cannon was kind of dope.
I don't even know if I had a favorite attack. Like when I was watching it, to me that was always the most boring part of the episode. Well, I liked the monsters designs. That was cool to see, but for me it's like, all right, I want the fight to be. I want to know what the hell is the deal with the tomatoes and how that is tied to the memories, and I want to know why everyone forgot their memories and. That's kind of what kept me going through it. I didn't really care about the big battle at the end. In the same way where Dragon Ball Z kept me into it, I was like, all right, I'm tuning out now.
So I had a realization on the last episode, because this is my third time watching it, I think. But the tomatoes finally make sense to me a little bit.
Yeah, explain this.
Well, so in the last episode, we were talking about Megaduces. I think technically another one awakens in the very last episode.
Yes.
In Angel.
Yeah.
And she goes through and systematically deletes their simulated reality that they're living in.
Is that what was happening?
Yeah, so the big Venus is the final stage of the whole thing.
Yeah, and so by memories, they literally mean like concepts and other like actual things in the world. I believe.
Well, there's like that one part where he talks about like Roger's like, I am the tomato, and from like what I could understand and what I kind of like read about, he's like, I am the tomato. Is it like the whole world is simulated, and the Rosewater guy wants to kind of bring it to a level where like his human contact was as close as possible, because the only real organic people we kind of see is Angel. And I mean, I guess technically you see like Roger and Dorothy kind of shift through at that one point where they talk to the crying angel, but you only see them, and then they kind of make this allusion to the tomatoes where the guy says they're born and cloned over generations and generations, and then as you go on and you can see like the big Venus is like erasing things to restart it, this simulated kind of world that they live in, that everybody in it is a tomato. They're cloning and remaking these people over and over and over again in an attempt to make a world that is as close to like perfect as this guy can get it. That's why at the end of the show you see Dorothy and Angel look over at Roger, and he doesn't have the watch on his wrist at the end, because he tells Angel to like essentially fucking get over it, dog. Shit happens and you got to move forward. And that essentially she's like, fuck, he's right. No more robots. And then everything kind of does that, and that's where they start at the end.
So everybody is simulated, or real people are living in a simulated space of the city?
I'm confused. I think Angel is like the director type deal. Like she seems to be in charge, because at least with her impact on the big Venus. But go ahead.
So what I heard, or what I read online on a couple different forums was...
And he really
didn't
like what I had to say.
There was a war that like ended the world. And there was only a couple people left, and they're basically the people that survived were put into those simulations, and so they kind of like erased everyone's memory about what happened 40 years ago, because like it's a tragedy. Like people were put into a simulation to basically live out the rest of their lives because the world that they used to live in was wrecked. And I think it's an argument of, can these people, can we remember what, or should we remember what happened, or should we try to forget it and try to start life anew?
Yeah, because that's the major point, is should we dwell on who we were, or should we try to make a new path of who we are now? And that's kind of what Roger was really good at in the beginning, because you can see he doesn't really give a shit until he starts trying to like learn more, and he kind of runs into Angel, who's all about the memories.
So is this a Terminator style situation where they have all these robots that killed everybody, or were the robots, because they made all of those robots of Roger?
They don't really tell you. Like there's no shit happens.
Robots don't really act on their own. Like they pick pilots and stuff, but I think this is more of World War III. Everyone, like, instead of developing nukes, though, they developed giant robots, because Roger kept having those flashbacks to like the war, where like the world's like being like the giant robots are marching. And I think that's just the government's like, hey, you know, fucking leave us alone or do as we say, or we're gonna like march our giant robots down your throat. And the other guy's like, well, we also have giant robots, come at us. And like, and that's also like, I think that goes to like that biologist guy who made that cat monster, because like that guy was like, got his memories back, and he's like, well, I remembered how to do this, so, and this is what I remembered how I, you know, in the past, so I create this biological weapon kind of thing. And so like every now and then people would get like memories, and they were like, oh yeah, I don't know how I remember this, but I just remember, and like that's how Dorothy was made. This guy also remembered how to make robots.
Yeah, and they even mention it I think it was in the later teens, where he's like, there's 20-year-olds that are having memories from 40 years ago. And when the politicians are being like systematically hunted down. So that's another one where they kind of allude to like these past lives slowly being brought back up.
What did you think about this, Chase? Did you pick up on all that through watching it, or were you just as confused as me, or?
Seemed like a red pill or blue pill situation towards the end.
Kind of. It kind of is. It's like, do you want to go back under the sheets, or do you want to see the world clearly? They picked the sheets, in case you were wondering. Except this one takes out the cool robot theme.
So it does make you... It does help a little bit with the story knowing that. I mean, that would make sense why he could just burst out of the ground with a giant robot, because it's not real, it's pretend.
And that's kind of like... Because you also kind of figure out... And I had to read about... I've figured out some of it, but a lot of it I kind of had to look into. And like that's what like under the city is the big Venus. Like I just keep sounding like I'm saying big penis with the Megadeuce. So the big penis sleeps underground until Angel was ready to wake her up and enact the final like episode, so like the final stage where she wakes up and she starts deleting everything. So like that's why they can't go down to the bottom of that area, because that particular Mega Deuce has the ability to affect time and space. So it's kind of like this all-seeing God figure that he's able. That's why like our Roger, when he goes down there, passes out, and Dorothy's able to wake him up.
Interesting. So that's kind of like the true Mega Deuce then, like the Mega God. Because that one can control like reality.
Yeah, well, at least in this simulation,
right.
Essentially. Like it controls it in there, because the ultimate creator is Angel. She is what has the director's role.
So, the next thing I want to kind of pose to everybody here as we're talking, this show, noir, based around this mystery, how did everyone lose their memory? As you were watching this, we'll just kind of go around the horn here. Do you think the mystery paid off? I mean, to me, watching it, I didn't like that they revealed it so close to the end. Like, I wish we would have gotten a little bit further than that, and I guess it's kind of leaving the door open, because I correct me if I'm wrong, but this was another anime not based off a manga, so they kind of wanted to get renewed so they could do another season, so that's probably why they did it this way. But
it was released in Japan and it didn't do well. It didn't do well until it came to America, and the funding from Cartoon Network and Toonami is actually what brought it back
for the second season.
Yeah, so a lot of the second season was heavily influenced by Western themes and things like that, because Cartoon Network had a huge hand in it. Because us Americans apparently really like our Bruce Wayne types and big robots punching each other in the face. It's hard to argue. Pretty cool.
I mean, Pacific Rim was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Right, I
mean, so, Garrett, answer me the question then. Do you think the mystery paid off? Like, after going through all this, do you like the resolution we got at the end?
I kind of hate it when they take a cool topic where it's just a dude dressing in black with a big black robot fucking shit up, and then all of a sudden it's like, no, it's about time and space. I'm going to say that, then I'm going to get really upset when we talk about Gurren Lagann like next, because I love that, so it's kind of hilarious that I bitch about that. But, I mean, not particularly, because I don't really like it when they leave it too open like that. I guess you can also kind of argue that about Gurren Lagann, because there's like a twist end too a little bit, but like
twist
with a twist. But for it, I don't know. I just feel like it was kind of weirdly paced. I didn't like how like the first season went from like an episodic manner where you kind of learn about it, and the second one, the season, I thought it was like, I felt like they leaned too hard on like the Matrix type deal, where they're kind of like obfuscating the history or the facts with everything around it, and it's heavily influenced on like everybody doesn't really matter, but they kind of do. Nobody knows what the hell's going on, and I was just here for big robots.
I did think it got a lot better in the second season, but that's also when I got very confused. So I just want to throw that out there.
It just feels like in the second season, like, oh, people like this. We got to actually make like a show. And they're like, what if the Matrix made love to the Truman Show? And what if we got that?
Yeah.
There's shows there's TV shows that are like episodic, where it's just like one episode and like no really overarching story.
Ed, and Eddie.
And then there's other ones that are like, that it's an overarching story. It's a slow burn through it all. I feel like the first half, they were like, we're episodic, we're just episode to episode, and not really going deep into it. Like, it'll be an overarching, but that's not the focus.
Yeah.
And the second one, they're like, let's do both, and they shit the bed.
Okay. So you don't think the mystery paid off at the end? Or what did you think?
I think they were doing too much. Like, they were just trying to be like, this is going to be standalone, but we're going to tie this deeply into the story. And it just didn't make sense. Like, it seemed like they were trying to make it something that wasn't. If they would have done episodic more, like whatever, because we've done two different types of animes up to this point. One where it was an overarching story, one where it was episode to episode.
And this one split up over 2 seasons. You got one of each.
And fucked up.
And then like, you can kind of tell the switch at the end, because season 13 is when they whip out the tomato reveal.
Yeah.
Or episode 13, which is the last episode of the first season. So it's kind of like they opened it up to a cliffhanger where, you know, they're kind of unveiling this tomato thing that may never get involved. So it feels like they took that step in the direct direction, but they maybe not have like the same group to follow through. Because it probably could have been done pretty well if they would have stayed with the clone thing. Like, I feel like the simulation thing, you need to nuance that in a little bit. I need to see like more symbols like of that going on. Like, granted, robots going through the ground like Swiss cheese should have been a dead giveaway, but also it's like an anime with a big robot. So it's like,
so we're playing Rebirth right now. So you want like Cloud-like PTSD visions where he like, just static for a freeze frame and then back to the story.
I want to see what the hell, like, what's going on with this guy's internal monologue, except him coming up with like stupid rules that kind of like vaguely apply. In my house, we always treat women with respect. I'm like, yeah, that's a good thing to have, but I don't know why he said it.
What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I think, season 1 and season 2 definitely had very different styles throughout. I think season 2 had a more continuous arc, and then season 1 was a little bit more halting throughout. I don't mind the higher concepts in like a giant mech anime, but they could have hinted harder at these higher concepts to like give you this feeling that something's not right, instead of it being such a complete city, just giant mech anime at the beginning.
Like I've seen a lot of, I guess, chatter when I was looking through the forums to kind of just figure out a little bit more of the story. I've been seeing a lot of them like saying Paradigm City is kind of like the stage for all this happens, that everything was built on the top of it. So every time like the world is erased and destroyed, that becomes the sand surrounding the city, and the foundation levers go up. That's why you don't go too far down, because then you kind of see the underworkings. I feel like if they would have spent like another episode just like putzing around down there and kind of diving into that, they could have made that like a lot more clear, that like, hey, there's some fuckery afoot, or under a foot, I guess. And, Roger's onto something. Like, he passes out down there and then never once gets like concerned, like, maybe I should go down there and like figure out why I had an aneurysm at the bottom of the stairs.
Well, he's a negotiator, he's not a detective, Garrett. He's a negotiator.
Then Dorothy's down there, she's like, hey, get up, Buttercup, what are you doing? Sleeping on the job? And then they get up and then they just leave, and then that's it. And I'm like, what? What's going on with the techno base in the corner? Why didn't we look in there?
I guess that kind of helps reframe it to me to make more sense, or for me to make it more sense as to why there was that other Megaduce that was skeletal, kind of like felt like a virus crawling through the underbelly of the city. Probably crawled its way up from the lower layers or something like that. So that's just something that kind of clicked for me for a second there.
What do you think, Alex? Did the mystery pay off? Was it worth it? Was the journey worth it?
Oh, the journey is 100% worth it. I kind of agree. I think the ending was a little bit too open for interpretation. I also agree. I wish they would have stuck with episodic. I wish every episode would have been Roger does something, gets into a fight, or tries to negotiate, fails, monster appears. Oh no! Oh! And then they fight, and then that's the end of the episode. Next episode comes up. No mention of like the previous fight or anything. Let's just keep getting new monsters every week, And like, I don't need like 20 seasons of this show. I just need like one just good season where you have like some cool fight scenes and stuff, and like some interesting characters come and go, but no one mentions it again. I think that would have made a better show. But I don't know, like, I kind of wish I could read like an interview with the creator to see where his thought process was on all of this.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I thought that I was okay with it. I like the idea that they live in a simulation because it was like war destroyed the world, and like this is the only world they have left. I kind of like that idea. I like the idea of like how important memory. Are memories important? Are they not? I like that, But I feel like you guys said they should have like hinted more at that. I think they should just like dove a little deeper into that, where like
Pause.
have an episode, like have more episodes about like.
Say that again. It cut out for a second.
I'm wondering if I'm too far away from the phone.
Yeah, balls out. Vance can't do it. I got intimidated.
I think that like that they had a lot of cool concepts. I like the idea that war maybe destroyed the planet, and like this is all they have left. I like the thought of like our memories important and stuff like that, and like what is it to like have power and like like how to wield it and stuff. But like yeah, I think they stretched themselves a little too thin over like the 13 episodes on the back half and stuff, and should have like focused on just one thing, like memories or virtual reality or war or something. And like I think I would have made it better. Personally, I just wanted Monster get punched in face show, you know.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Monster Punch in Face show was good. I agree with you. I liked how they did the episodic nature, you know, kind of comparing this to Cowboy Bebop from 2 episodes ago. That was a very episodic show, but no overarching, very loosey-goosey, like, you know, I guess you get Ed and then he stays with for the rest of the show. But I did feel like I was learning a lot about the world, and I could see the story moving through the episodic episodes of Season 1. So I think they did do a good job with that, but it's kind of why I feel so uneasy about rewatching this, because I want to figure it out. Like going into this, I was very curious. Season 2 did a very good job of making me curious. Like, what is going on? Like I was Googling things. I looked up what the Megaduce meant and why they named it that. And I was very curious. And I think that was a good thing, because so far, like, you know, Cowboy Bebop, it was very surface level for me, at least, where I didn't feel like there was very much. It was what they presented was what they wanted you to see. Monster,
Monster, you really connected.
I super connected with that one, and I had to read everything in subtitles, which I also really loved. That was great.
I feel too. You keep shitting on Monster. You were the only one that watched it subbed and didn't watch it dubbed.
Nobody told me where to watch the English dub until after I finished.
Literally got texted in the group chat. You just don't look at stuff. You literally just you're just fly by the seat of the pants.
Listen here.
Much like Roger Smith, the shittiest negotiator ever. How many people died? The cat, the bioweapon cat that 3 people died on that top of the building, and he's like, "Well, I better go negotiate." I was like, I feel you already failed. I don't know how people keep coming to you.
I love it because his creed is they both have to be speaking in terms, they have to be communicating together, kind of you're pretty much I need him to have adults, and then half the time he's well, my talk didn't work, time to throw hands. Yeah. He's like, come here, you bastard.
It's good foreshadowing in the first episode too, where he's this master negotiator, and then the briefcase opens and all the money's lost anyway.
Would you? Right. How about $10? Oh, you won't take it for $10? All right, I'm gonna beat you up with my robot.
Yeah, wait till you see this.
You want $10 and $1 million in damages?
My favorite episode has to be the Christmas. Well, because they don't have Christmas. What was it called again?
Oh yeah.
With the saxophone player.
They have this Christmas episode, and it focuses on this terrible saxophonist who's super poor, and he has a blind sister that he's trying to help take care of. And there's that scene where he's pretending to eat supper so that his sister will eat, because she does not want to eat if he's not eating. And but I thought that episode was so funny, because you have Roger Smith, who's super rich, and he's buying this expensive gift for his robot maid, android maid. And this guy's hey, could you spare some cash? And he's don't do that. A real man earns his keep and stuff. And I'm you were given, you woke up and your memories were a giant mansion bullshit.
He's just throwing shade for no reason.
Yeah, and then, you think that he's going to learn a lesson at the end of the episode, where at the very end, he's hey, Music Man, play me a song, and he plays like a shitty version of like a Christmas song on his sax, and then I'm like, oh, Roger's gonna give him the coat so that the poor guy can give this nice coat to his blind. Nope, gives it to Dorothy. Dorothy doesn't give a fuck. I'm like, what the hell is that?
And she's a robot. She doesn't even. He's an asshole. That's why he is not my favorite character. But yeah,
That was probably one of my favorite episodes because it's just the most ridiculous. Because like I don't know what the lesson was supposed to be. You know, hey, you know, if you don't want to be poor, work hard and live in a mansion like me. But,
Yeah.
Hey, you want to know the best way to not be poor? Have your daddy give you money. He's
yeah.
like, also, you're dog shit, bro. And he's like, whoa.
I,
What do you mean I'm dog shit?
it's funny. I did like that episode. I thought that was a nice episode, though. That was a. I didn't pick up on the Christmas thing until way too late into it, but yeah.
Oh, you can kind of see there's like a vague, like, kind of like, almost like Christianity, like religion that kind of survived. Because they even mentioned that, like, the Rosewater guy at the top has a book of Revelations and stuff. And then, like, there's, like, the destroyed ruins of church that you see that people kind of go to. And granted, church isn't only exclusive to Christianity or anything, but, like, they go and they do, like, they sing, like, their broken hymns and stuff like that.
Yeah, I swear that's the thing with this show. It has a lot going on, and it kind of makes me want to go back and watch it again. I
just feel like they could have done the episodic part if they, granted the production was probably broken up and that screw with it, then you get a new mind in it. But it's like the episodic would have been such a great opportunity for them to show us the world and then to hit us with the tomatoes realization at the end of season 1 and then go into their season where Roger's like, I got to figure out what's going on. That would have been fantastic rather than just like, it's a big robot. I punch that guy. I go talk to that guy. He don't want to help me. I punch him too. And then the next thing is like, fuck that musician. And then it goes like, I'm a tomato. And then you're like, what happened in this show?
Yeah, it was a little out of left field for me. But does anyone else have any last thoughts before we end this episode 3?
With that Christmas episode, maybe I was just kind of thick, and didn't realize it right away. But the saxophonist is playing a lilting version of A Christmas Carol at the very end of the episode. But I guess I just landed on this now. I guess it's not so much that they could have hinted more at more things going on throughout the show. They could have filled in the lore a lot better because there were so many concepts there, and if they had just started tying them together just a little bit, it would have been pretty nice.
From the research I've done, it, like you're saying, there's so much there. Like they had everything's cool. Like everything around the show is cool. They should have done more. That's a good point, yeah.
All I'm hearing is the show is cool, and I think
it's about big robots. The baseline for it is cool. Like, we gotta go above that now. The dude's got like pistons in his arms that can punch holes through other giant robots. That's already dope.
Yeah.
Now I just need like the sprinkles on top of it, just like to fill me into what the hell's going on.
What about you, Chase? Any last thoughts?
The Dominus.
Probably won't watch it again.
That's 4. What can I say?
Also, not gonna lie, that Christmas episode, I thought that 100% wasn't his sister. That was his girlfriend.
Oh my god!
You're like, there's a weird Grouchy acting to this.
I thought that was his girlfriend this whole time.
I didn't catch that she was blind until halfway through either. I was like, oh, she can't see.
Then you're like, I don't understand why that idiot just thinks he's eating food. That plate is clearly empty. Like,
why is she leaving the apartment with a stick?
Yep, I definitely put 2 and 2 together.
He has a limp. It's a cane, you insufferable bastards.
So
you can see better if you don't open your eyes, lady.
We did not touch on the intro song at all. I think it was fantastic. Maybe second best intro song we've seen so far. Great. So catchy. Everybody here loved it unanimously. I don't even have to ask you guys. Beautiful.
They paid that guy a flat rate, and he's like, I'm going to get the most out of just the title. What happens if I just say Big O 40 times?
I listened to the intro every single time I watched because I liked it that much. It's so catchy. And great. I'm glad we all loved it.
I hate it when high tension animes have like the pump up song in the beginning and then the end is like some weird romance song.
Yeah.
It's just like, and this one was like the pinnacle of that. And I was like, I just like you deflated my robot fight excitement. Now we're talking about like, I feel like I'm listening to a Disney song.
Yeah, the outro was bad. Yep. Yeah, that was very bad. Hey, so this is the end of episode 3. Going into next month, we're going to be taking fan questions and comments. And just remember, the next one we're going to watch is the 2007 Gurren Lagann. If you guys have questions or thought-provoking comments, leave them down below on the bottom of this video. And we will check back and we will pick some for next month. Until next time. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, apparently they released a 15th anniversary movie that came out recently, and it's probably just a summarization of the whole ass show. But I haven't seen it yet.
Do you want to watch that with next month, or do you just want to do the anime?
I'll just do that on my free time, so then I'll just,
maybe we'll do it. We'll do it like Cowboy Bebop, where if you want to watch the movie, you can. We'll mention it at the end. Yeah. So that's our show. Make sure to check us out at patreon.com/GrouchyGuest94. Don't forget you can pick what animes we cover over there for a nominal fee. So until next time, we'll see you later. Goodbye.